I first did the 2-day compass experience just inside the first half of the COVID pandemic period, and it really helped me to answer a question or an observation that I was seeing within myself and seeing in those around me in relation to the impact that time and those changes and the upheaval were having on people. This was, sure, there was an emotional response to everything, the change and upheaval, but this was an observation that was deeper than that. What the 2-day compass workshop really helped me to understand was just how we understand ourselves by creating anchors in the outside world. So I know myself by the recreations I do. I know myself by the job I have. I know myself by the clothes I wear. I know myself by the bars I go to, the restaurants I go to, the food I eat. I know myself by the family around me. I know myself by all these things that were going on in the outside world. Yet all of a sudden, these external anchor points, they were taken away. All of a sudden, we couldn't go to the bars, we couldn't go to the gym, we couldn't go to the restaurants, we couldn't go to the cinemas to eat the food and watch the films that help us to understand who we are, the food I like, the films I like to watch. I couldn't be at work around the people who help me understand who I am when I'm in this place that I spend so much time. And I couldn't even access and see and spend time with members of my family. So all of a sudden, this asked the question of if I know myself by these external anchor points and they're taken away, who am I? Who really am I underneath this? And the Compass workshop really helped me to come back to that, so I could start to understand who am I from the inside out rather than the outside in. And this is really important whether you're in the middle of a pandemic or just in everyday life, because life never stops and life is perpetually changing. Things are changing, things are moving. And in a world that's continually changing, I found that connecting to something that didn't change, something that happened to be part of me, who I am and my core nature, really brought a great amount of stability to me as I navigate the world and the changes around me and the ensuing emotions that come up from that. So really connecting to that one part of me that was the same when I was born all the way through to the day that I pass and leave this planet, connecting to that part of me that is never going to change, brought a huge amount of just existential calm and a huge amount of clarity in life, particularly when I began to integrate that back into how I do life and the anchors that I put in the world, which instead of being external anchors in the world are things that come from me that I shape. One of the most profound insights for me when I very first sat through the 2-day Your Compass workshop was this. LinkedIn, management books, self-development books, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and the adverts that they're continually pumping us give us this impression that we should be on it, thriving, inspiring people, showing them the way, being, a bit like a star, constantly inspiring and showing the way. And for a long time, I tried to be like that, but it never really worked. And I couldn't understand why. It left me feeling quite hit my confidence and made me question myself in terms of what I'm here to do. But one of the things I realised during the Compass workshop was that, in all fairness, I'm not so much a star. I'm more like one of these guys, a tree. And through exploring this, like, simple metaphor for me, it gave me so much scope and so much understanding of my true nature. And then from that, I was able to connect that into how I do life and how I do work. So let me give you some examples. Most people who come to any of the workshops that I facilitate remark on the fact that I provide a nice safe space, like we would shelter under a tree in the rain. But I provide a nice safe space in my workshops to shelter from the trials and tribulations, the stress and traumas of life, so that we can, take a moment to really reflect away from that. I'm also very good at connecting into the underground, unseen networks. It was something that during my management consultancy career I was able to do, but I didn't put much credence on. So I was really able to feel through what was moving through the people. And in my personal life, I'm great at making networks and connections. And I guess the other thing I've realised is, just in the same way that trees have this amazing capacity to turn CO2 into nice fresh oxygen for us all to breathe, it explains my drive and motivation and my capacity to clean up toxic cultures in spaces and turn them into nice, clean surrounding cultures where people can breathe and grow. So while this might sound ethereal on the surface and like, oh, it's all very nice, this realization of what my true nature really is, as opposed to trying to be a nature that I'm not, has really given me a sense of ease and grace in life now, which is kind of hard to fully explain, but it just means that I have a lot more in my life because I know how I work and which places and spaces to put myself in, so that so the world can get the best out of me and I can get the best out of the world. And like I said, that's given me a huge amount of ease and grace in life. And I've also noticed that my capacity to impact has grown because I've lined it up with that. So I just thought I'd share that. During the 2-day Compass workshop, there's a very simple and subtle yet hugely profound activity that we get people to do. And I just wanted to share what happened the first time I did this. The activity creates a space for us to explore how people see us, who we think we are, and who we really, really are. And I think we'd all like to think that we're consistent across all three. We'd like to think that how people see us is how we think we are, and that's how we really, really are. But I think if we're honest, really, really honest with ourselves, we will acknowledge that there is a difference between them. And this exercise, in a really subtle and gentle and intuitive manner, really brings up the difference between the three. And for me, the first time I did this, it was quite profound, because all of a sudden I could see something that I really couldn't look away from anymore. And again, while that may be confronting, it also gave me exactly the pathway of how I could reconcile those three, so that I can be me wherever I turn up, whether that's by myself, with those that I love, with the people I work with, and my friends and family and everybody around me. And so I can really anchor back to who I am and turn up as all three of those. And that has given me such a great sense of ease, so I don't have to be something that I'm not in different spaces. One of the biggest personal benefits of coming to a Compass 2-day workshop is connecting to your knowing. Now, what do I mean by knowing? We live in a world where we confuse cleverness for knowing. And by cleverness, I mean our capacity to store data and knowledge and information in our heads so that we can regurgitate it to be correct. But knowing is something deeper than that. More and more I have people that come to see me and seek me out because they're left feeling lost or confused or disorientated in the world. And they'll tell me their story of how they got there. And I ask them one very simple question, confronting but simple. And that is, are you surprised by this? Are you surprised that given all that you've told me, that you now found yourself in a place like this? And sometimes they'll say, no, yeah, I am surprised. But then I fix them and we just go a bit deeper. And more often than not, people are quiet. And then the gentle answer comes out, no, I'm not surprised. Now, where has that answer come from? That answer has come from their knowing. And it is this place that we connect people with in the Compass Workshop. And for me, when I first connected to this and acknowledged that I had some knowing, it had quite a profound experience. And it's from that I'm able to bring more and more into my life. So if you would like to start even beginning to connect with your own knowing, next time you're left feeling dismayed or confused or disorientated by the events that are going on around you, and there's plenty of them, ask yourself quietly, are you really surprised by this? And somewhere within you, you will access your knowing.